Hey guys, it's Julian, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make Drumcode style techno. If you want to hear the finished full track, you can skip to the timestamp at the top of the description now. I'll give you a moment to do that. And yeah, so, as always, you can get the project file and samples and MIDI and presets and all that stuff in this video in the description. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there, because it's already available. And yeah, let's get started. So, to start off with, you may notice I already have something here. It's a kick. It sounds like this. And so I went ahead and set this up ahead of time, mostly because I wanted to use a reference track, and also just because sometimes going through kicks, it can be a little bit difficult. So yeah, basically what we've got going on here is we have this kick. I'll turn off all the processing and show you like what the dry kick sounds like. So there it is. It's just like a punchy, hard-hitting kick like this. I've got this going through a saturator. So you can hear I was just making it hit a little bit harder. After that, we have this audio effect rack. So this is giving it the rumble. You can see we have two chains. We have a dry chain, which has a little bit of drum bus on it, actually, just to make the dry kick hit a little bit harder. And then we have this wet chain, which is where, as you can hear, the rumble is coming from. And then we combine these together. And there you go. So what we have on the rumble is, the first thing we have here is a simple delay. And what this is doing is this is really what's creating the rumble. Basically, if I turn this off. Yeah, there you go. So what's happening is if I turn this stuff off, you can hear it a little bit more clearly. So basically, we just have this simple delay. Like I said, I've got the dry wet all the way up. We've got the feedback up there. I have it on the mono setting. And you can see I'm automating it. It's really simple. It's just jumping on the quarter notes. Just between the 2, so 8th notes, and the 3 setting, dotted 8th notes. As you can hear, this creates kind of an interesting rhythm. I've noticed this with a lot of Drumcode tracks, especially like Adam Beyer's tracks, is they'll use rumble kicks, but they're a little bit more intelligent with it. Like, it's not just like a standard like reverb into distortion, or even just a delay that's just kind of like, you know, sitting on one setting like this. It's usually something a little bit more complex. You can usually hear like a bit of rhythm in the rumble. So that's how we're creating that here. It's just by switching between those two delay settings. And then I have that going into an amp, which sounds like this. So obviously a bit over the top. But then after that, we have this low pass filter. And there we go. That's what makes it into the rumble. So now we've got this sound. You can hear the amp does make it pretty crazy, but it also really well hones in on those lower frequencies. You can hear it's really giving it like some nice low end. So then we're just cutting out the high end with the low pass filter, and there we go. We get just the rumble. And then after that, I have this auto pan, which, as you can hear, is just making it kind of bounce up in volume there, so it's not just taking over all the space where we want the dry kick to be playing. And then to also accomplish this, I have this EQ8, and this is just cutting out at 100 hertz or 95, pretty much the same thing, just to make a little bit of room for the kick, because that's where the kick is punching through. And then I also have a low end boost on there, so that's just to bring out the low end a bit more. Like, you know, this just kind of focuses the rumble. So then after that audio effect rack, I have everything going into this drum bus. You can hear that really helps to tie it all together, make it all a bit fatter. And then I have this limiter, which you can hear just sort of squashes the rumble together with the dry kick a little bit more. You can hear this also just really helps with like the punch of the kick. Like if I turn this off, you know, it's alright. Then when I add this, you can hear it's like that extra little thing that takes it from like a pretty good kick to a professional full kick. And then the last thing we have on here is just a bit of EQ. Here is without that, and then I'll turn it on. So you can hear this is just focusing the sound a little bit more. It's cutting out a lot of that low mid-range, making it a little bit less muddy. And then I've also got a low end boost to just bring that out even more. And then I've got this mid-range boost. This really helps with the punch. It's subtle, but if I turn it off and then turn it on, you can hear the difference there. A lot of that like real attack in the kick is in like this mid-range. So boosting that just helps to bring that out a little bit. And yeah, so that's the kick. Like I said, you know, usually I like to set that up with a reference track. Couldn't really use a reference track in this video. But cool, so from here, I'm going to start building this out a bit more. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get this one hi-hat here. That one. And we're going to put that on the upbeats. So we'll just do something like this. Alright, sounds good. I like to check in on the monitors a little bit. But cool, so you know, we're just kind of starting out the drums here. I'm going to get that in a group as well. Obviously, we're not just going to use a group for one sound. I'm going to put all the percussion in this group, but I like to set this up early on. We'll put a drum bus on there, and I'm also going to get an EQ8 and just cut out some low end. Alright, sounds good. Cool, so from here, I have some percussion sounds in this little pack. I'm going to get those and just put them in a drum rack here. And let's just add in like some kind of a percussion loop of some sort that I'll make using these sounds. That sounds cool. So just kind of, playing around with that percussion. Let's maybe put a little bit of delay on there. I'll use echo for this. Let's do eighth notes. Yeah, that sounds cool. Put that through a bit of saturator. So we're starting to get a bit of a groove here, you know. I like to set this up early on with these kinds of tracks. Just kind of like get the vibe going, and then we can start to add some more melodic stuff. Alright, I also want to add in this one sound, this rim shot. It's like a rim shot from a 909. There's one spot in the beat where I want to put it. Yeah, like that. Like, I like having one percussion like this, which is just hitting on the same count every time. Like, it's always on the 16th note right after the 2. Every single time it hits. It helps because you have this stuff, which is bouncing around. But you can always count on this one element to keep coming in. And also, I'll chill out with this thing, maybe. That, and then let's put some reverb on this. I like putting it before the drum bus. Alright, cool little groove going on here. So from here, let's close that percussion group. I'll name it as well. Percussion. Alright, that sounds good for now. I'm going to add in, let's get some synths. I'm going to get analog. And let's try and make like a little lead. Let's see how that sounds. Yeah, that sounds cool. Alright, there we go. Sounding pretty good. So we're getting, you know, some musical direction here. Let's work on the sound a little bit. I'm gonna put this up like that. We'll set the filter like this. Yeah, that sounds tight. Let's put that through some drum bus to make it a bit fatter. We'll cut out some lowering as well. Another, let's put a bit of reverb on that actually real quick. There we go. Alright, now let's make another little synth using analog. This one, it's also going to be 2 saw waves. We're going to detune those a little. We're going to put those through a bit of unison as well. To make it really big, I'm going to shorten this with the amp on flip like that. Oh yeah, that sounds cool. I'm trying to just make like a little short sort of unison stab like this. I don't want this to sound too trancy though. We gotta watch out. But this is sounding good. This is gonna play like this. So you gotta watch out we don't get too trancy there. Alright, sounds cool. Let's make this one a bit fatter. I'm gonna put some drum bus on it. And let's get some echo on this one as well. it's sounding cool. Let's cut some low end out of this one as well. I'll just get an EQ8 on there. Like we'll cut it up to about there. And let's actually put some reverb on this, I think, instead of so much echo. I might do a little bit of echo in a bit. There we go. We have a lot of room for like a really long reverb on a song like this because it has so much space between the notes. So I like to play with that when I can. Alright, there we go. So I put this amp on here. This is just like a nice way to kind of add some more texture to the sound. Like if I turn this off, you can hear it just has that really dry kind of sound. When we turn it on, the key here is the dry wet. I've turned that down quite a bit. You know, once you get it dialed in, it's just adding a lot of color to the sound. And again, makes it not sound like just that same kind of like draw saw wave sound. Alright, I think I'm going to use the square wave as the first oscillator on this synth actually. Let's turn on this LFO1 and I'll put that on the pulse width. So we're getting like some movement there. That sounds tight. Cool, and then we're also going to put that LFO on the filter. Because you can hear now it's like slowly opening and closing the filter. Okay, cool. Just taking a second there to sort of listen to this. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to make here is I'm going to make like a drone. Let's get operator for this. And I'm going to we'll just make a little 8-bar clip. And yeah, we're going to make something underneath all this, which is just playing, it might be one note, it might be a chord. We'll see. I'm going to start with the root note and the 5th of the key we're in. We're in F minor, so. Synthesis here. It's a really good way to make like a more interesting sound. Like the problem that I get a lot of times, like if you just work with like, you know, a saw wave, it's like if we get a saw wave on here. Okay, cool, it's a saw wave. Like there's not a lot to do with that. But here, you know, we can still make sounds that are as harmonically rich as the saw wave, as you can hear. But all of a sudden we're getting all these new and exciting textures and timbres out of it. So it really goes a long way, I feel like. As well as like you have a lot of room later in the track to sort of make the sound evolve and morph, because all I have to do is start automating these and it's like becoming a completely different sound. So we'll start with the low pass on and about there. I'm going to turn on this LFO and we're going to put that on the filter frequency. Let's turn off this retrigger. The retrigger just basically says like every time you hit a new note, it'll restart the LFO. So here's with it on. And then with it off. See, I like that to be off usually with these kinds of like pads. Let's put this through some reverb. You can hear when it goes like and like opens up like that. We get those cool cascading echoes. I'm also going to sidechain this a little bit to the kick. What I'm going to do here is we're going to turn on the sidechain and I'm going to do pre-effects on the kick. So you can hear, if we sidechain this to the post-effects kick, you're not really going to hear it because it's going to be ducking out of the way there. But if we set it to the pre-effects, there we go. We get an actual sidechain because it's just sidechaining it to this basically, as opposed to all of this. So yeah. Alright, sounds good. Let's dial this up a bit more. Something kind of aggressive like that could be good, because this doesn't really have anything like super hard about it. Okay, there we go. There's the chord. I'm going to set the voices here to 20. So this voice, it just says how many notes you can play at once. You can see by default it was set to 6. I guess, okay, so we have 6 voices here. But I like to usually just set it to 20 just to make sure like I'm getting the maximum amount of voices. Alright, let's detune these a bit. Alright, that's a nice little chord. I'm also going to, let's try pitching that up an octave. Alright, sounds cool. Let's maybe... Gotta keep mixing as we go here. Everything down a little. Sounds good. And at this point, I'm gonna make another little drone here. This one I'm gonna use analog for. What we're gonna do is this one's just gonna play F, and we're going to get. Let's use 2 saw waves. I'm gonna set the amp envelope like this, and then we're gonna put these into the formant filter. So what the formant filter is, what a formant filter is basically, if you think of like, you know, the human sort of like way we shape our voice, like the way you open your mouth and close it, like ow, kind of like shapes the sound, right? This is what a formant filter does. It's meant to emulate this. It's meant to have a very like vowel-y kind of like just human. It sounds like somebody going woo, right? So that's what this is doing. So what we can do here is we can actually make a really cool drone with this, because you can hear. We can get like a ton of different textures, and if you bring the resonance up, you can do even more too. Like we can maybe do something like this. I'll switch one of these to a square wave. Yeah, there we go. Sounds pretty cool. So you can hear this is a really good way to get a sound that isn't just like a boring, simple saw wave. You know, you can kind of make it a bit more interesting this way. Let's copy the sidechain onto that as well from that other pad. I'm gonna just put in one low note with this. Yeah, sounds tight. Let's try putting it up an octave. Sounds good. I'm gonna put some drum bus on this. Pretty good, but I think it's lacking some extra percussion. So we have some nice melodic elements going on here. Let's add some more in the percussion. So I'm going to fill out the main hi-hat a little bit. Right now we just have this one, and that's good for the intro or for the outros or for maybe like a more chill part, but we need some more hi-hats on top of that. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this open hi-hat, and then I'm also going to get this ride cymbal. I'm going to start with the open hi-hat. I'm just going to copy the same MIDI onto it. And let's pitch that down a little, maybe to like there. There we go, and then we'll cut out some low end on that. And okay, cool, there it is. So then we'll put some drum bus on that. And there we go. So you can hear already. This really helps to sort of fill out that hi-hat. Like we're getting the attack and the sharpness of this combined with the brightness and just sort of like hi-hatness of this. And it fills it out a lot more. This is a very common technique in techno. And I'm going to put these in a group together. We'll also throw the ride in that group. And I'm going to put a bit of processing on the group. Just to like really beef this up. Like with this style, your hi-hat, especially this main like hi-hat that's playing on the upbeats, you don't want to skimp out. You want to make sure it's very fat and very powerful. I'm also going to cut out some low end on this sound. But yeah, you want to make sure it's like as fat and as powerful as you can get it to be, because you need it to kind of match like the energy of the kick. Like it's like that. If the kick is like and the hi-hat's like this would be like it's just not going to be the right I know, great demonstration there, but it's just not going to be the right dynamic between the kick and the hi-hat. But now you can hear it's cutting through a bit more. Cool, and then I'm also going to put this ride here. You can hear right away, that's adding like a ton of energy to this. But cool, so let's put a bit of chorus on the ride. I usually like to make the ride cymbal pretty like wide. Also put a bit of drum bass on that individually. Cut out some low end on it. Let's just get a high pass for that. And usually the ride is like super, super high pass like this. So we have that just like really giving us some super bright hi-hat. Sounds good. Let's also put a bit of chorus on this. Just spread it out a little bit more. Alright, sounds good. Let's also go in here. I'll get this hi-hat and we're going to do like straight 16 notes. Sounds good. When I keep taking off the headphones is basically I don't use my monitors during the videos, but I'm just checking this on the monitors. I think it's important, like when you're going through a track, don't just listen to it on headphones, and also don't just listen to it on monitors. It's good to go back and forth if you can, because you really get like the idea of what it's gonna sound like in all systems basically. You know, if you just mix it on your monitors or just mix it on your headphones, you just know, or even if you just mix it on like a club system, you're only going to know what it sounds like on that setup. But it's better to just get a more comprehensive and kind of like overall look at everything. And also there's stuff that you notice on headphones that you don't notice on monitors, and vice versa, of course. So yeah, it's just good to go like that and really check. Alright, sounding pretty sick. Let's get like a little drum bus on this. I'm going to try something like this as well. I like when it's just playing on every count. nice one. Just taking a few moments there to mix this. I'm going to do one more thing as well. I'm going to take this, and we're going to add the Haas effect to it. So I talk about this a lot on my channel. It's a really, really good effect. Basically, the Haas effect is just this big stereo widening effect. What it does is you take the sound and you split it into the left and the right ear signals. And then what happens is you push one of them ever so slightly forward, like usually between 10 and 50 milliseconds. And when you do that, you create this really wide stereo image. It sounds like you're hearing the super, super wide sound, but really you're just hearing the same thing once in each ear. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put an audio effect track on here, and I'm going to get two chains, and then on the second one, we're going to put a simple delay. On the simple delay, we're going to link the two ears. We just want it to be mono. We're going to turn off, we're going to unsync it, and we're going to set the time to 10 milliseconds. Like I said, anywhere between 10 to 50 milliseconds works. After that, the only other thing we have to do is just turn the dry wet all the way up. And there we go. Essentially what this is doing is it's just taking this chain and putting everything on this chain 10 milliseconds forward. So then all we have to do after that is just pan these. I'm just going to pan this one to the right. Doesn't matter which one you put the delay on. I'm going to pan this one to the left. And there we go. So we go from this to this. And there we go. You can hear it. It's a lot wider. And not only that, like it's making the overall track sound better because of how wide it is. But it's also sitting a lot better in the mix. Now we can really hear both this drum and that pad a lot clearer. Alright, sounds good. I'm going to turn these up a little. Give these a bit of a higher boost as well. There we go. You really got to make sure that this hi-hat is like really sitting on top of the mix. And it's like I said, you want that to just really, really be cutting through more than anything else. Extra mixing here. Again, I really always like to put the kick at the top of the mix. And I find also like when I'm checking my tracks with reference tracks often, that's usually like one of the things that I find I have to do is like when I just make a track like this, not listening to a reference, and then I go and listen to the reference, it seems like a lot of times in techno tracks, the kick is like really, really on top of the mix like that. It really should be like the loudest thing. It is literally like the vocals of this style. But cool, so this is sounding pretty good. At this stage, I'm gonna take this and we are gonna make the full arrangement. So let's cut this and we'll just paste it all here. And I'm gonna start with the kick. We're gonna go to the start over here. And we'll do just the kick, and I'm also gonna take this little hi-hat. Alright, that'll be the starting there, and then maybe we could... Okay, so for the first, usually I like to do, the first 16 bars. I'll just have the drums. I'm finding a lot with techno lately. We can even add, an extra drum there. Like, that works. I'm finding a lot with techno that when I listen to tracks, and when I try to mix tracks as well, and, in general, when DJs were trying to mix my tracks, a lot of times, if you have, anything other than the drums in the first, 16 bars or, the first minute or so, it can get kind of in the way, because what's happening is, at this stage, the DJ is trying to mix into your track, but they're also trying to mix out of the track that was playing before this. And what can happen is, if you have, too much stuff happening in the beginning, or really if you have anything other than just, your main core drums, say we have a vocal sample, or, if we put this lead in there, what happens is then it's a lot harder for the DJ to mix out of your track because they have all this stuff happening, or to mix into your track because they have all this stuff happening while all the other stuff is happening in the other track. So it's best, all that goes to say, it's best to just start with the drums. Alright, we'll cut out that there, and then we can come in here, and then like at this point, we'll bring in some more of the drums. Like we can have these two, and we'll copy this one over as well. Let's have those cut out like right at the end of this part as well. Alright, there we go, and then we'll copy one of the percussions into this part as well. Sounding cool, and we can also get one of the synths. I'm gonna use this drone. We'll get like a low pass filter to just slowly bring this in over the course of this little part here. Copy this all over into there, and then let's also grab this stuff and move it over real quick. Alright, cool. So this low pass filter is just gonna slowly come bring this in here. Like that, yeah. Alright, and then we'll bring in the ride there. Once this part comes in, we can bring in some other stuff. Yeah, there we go. And this one we'll bring in with a low pass a little bit as well. Like, just through here, we can have a low pass going on. I always like to fade things in, you know? Because techno is so long and driving and just going on and on like that, that I always find it better to bring things in this way where you're just kind of like, you know, slowly teasing it until it all comes in. Alright, so then we're going to make a little thing at the end of this intro here. We're going to take the kick, and it's just going to filter up in this last part. Like, we'll do like this, like from bar 45 to 49, just 4 bars pretty much. We'll keep that up. Cool, and then we have this little part with these hi-hats here. I'm going to do 2 things. The first is I'm going to have a low pass filter, just bringing those down there, so it's going to be like kind of slowly fading out. And then I'm also going to add a reverb on there, and we're going to just automate the dry wet on the reverb to go up. Alright, there we go. So we get like a smooth fade out there. And then you notice I made sure that goes down before the drop here, so it's not just going to all of a sudden be, you know, super reverbed out. But alright, sounds good. So let's get this thing now. And we'll have that slowly fade up during that first half of the break there. Like that. Matter of fact, let's have it start coming in there. I like to have stuff do this. Like if you notice, like a lot of this stuff is happening in these little 16 bar chunks. But if we can bring something in halfway through that to kind of mix it up, it's a good way to keep it interesting. sounds cool. And then I'm gonna just. Alright, yeah, let's do that when it drops. Alright, sounds cool. So we need to work with this breaker a little bit more. I'm gonna make a little white noise sweep. So we're gonna get an operator here, and we will just make like literally a clip that long, 16 bars, and we're gonna just put in one note. Doesn't matter which one, because it's just gonna be white noise. But now we go here, get this noise white. We'll put that through a bandpass, and then I'm gonna automate the frequency of the bandpass just during this time. Let's also get a little high pass on that to cut out the low end. And then it's just gonna go down during that point. So there we go, and then let's copy the side chain onto there as well, so when it hits. There we go. And then also in the sample pack with this video, I have the snare. So I'm going to use this to do a sort of like a build up here. Let's just make something this long. And usually, you know, like in techno, you know, obviously you don't want to do like a type build. So usually like I'll just have it do something like this where it's just playing constant 16th notes. And then what you do is if you have a utility, you get a utility, and then once you have that, you take the gain and just automate it to go up over the whole course of this time. So now it's like building the whole way through. Alright, sounds cool. I also have like these little claps in here, so I'm gonna use those. Let's use this one. We'll put it through, I'm gonna put it through some echo. There we go, and then let's put it through a drum bus as well. And we're gonna make just like a little fill here before the drop. Let's turn that headphone icon off so that we are not just hearing that. Alright, and then we'll copy that. Gotta put that back maybe 1/4 note. Alright, sounds pretty good. Let's also maybe put a little bit of reverb on that. And I'll make it like really tight. Alright, sounding pretty good. Now, one thing I'm going to add on here for this little break is I'm going to get a utility, and we're going to just put it down, the output of it down -3. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to automate this to come on just only during this break here. So we'll have it like this. You can hear it's not super noticeable, but now when we get to the end, now the drop is hitting so much harder. We'll automate these. They have a little bit of filter movement. There we go. I'm also going to take this, and let's give this a little bit of filter automation. It's like, I just like to do a little bit of something with all of these. I feel like with techno, like if you don't have any automation, it just becomes too boring. Like, automation really is what makes a lot of techno tracks. Like, we don't even have to listen to exactly what it sounds like. It's just the idea of having the movement there, I think, is really what's important. Sounds good. And let's also give this one a bit of automation, the little stab that we made. Again, same deal, like, we just kind of moved the filter a bit throughout the track. Filter envelope as well. Alright, there we go. Sounding pretty good. So now we have a pretty nice little arrangement here. Let's check how loud this is hitting. I'm going to go to the loudest part, which is this part. And okay, we can put this down maybe minus like 3, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Alright, and now it's time for mastering. So, the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to get an EQ8, we're going to put it on here, and we're going to make a low end boost, a high end boost. Let's actually do a little bit less on the low end boost, and then we're going to make a low mid-range cut, like right around there. So what we're doing is we're boosting the two most important ranges for techno, the high end and the low end. The low end is really where the power and the impact in the track is, and then the high end is where all those bright, sharp kind of frequencies in the hi-hats and stuff like that are. And then I'm also cutting out the low mid-range. So this just helps to get rid of mud like in the kick and in some of the synths. So you can hear the difference here. Everything just sounds a lot more clear, and it really ties the whole mix together. Next thing we're going to get here is just a little bit of compression. I'm just going to turn off the makeup gain here, and we're going to turn on the threshold. So there, let's turn the attack up a little. And cool, so here's before this. And then with, you can hear it, it's very subtle. It's just giving us a little bit more kind of like of an even mix. And it's like, it's not flattening out the mix too much, but it's just making the volume levels a little bit more even. And then the purpose of the attack there is just because with drums, you have what's called a transient. Basically, the attack is how long it takes for the compression to kick in. You can see the transient on the kick is right there. That's where all the attack is. If you get rid of that, or if you flatten it out, your drums aren't going to be very punchy, and your mix is going to sound too squashed. So all this comes together in that the attack, once we turn that up, that's how long it takes for the compression to kick in. So we can get it to compress the bodies of the sounds, like all of this stuff over here, without compressing the transient if we just turn that up. So it's a very valuable tool in making sure everything is going to be still, you know, super punchy and hitting hard. And then the last thing I'm going to put on here is I'm going to get a limiter, and we're going to turn this up. Until we hit 0 dB. There we go. So the reason why we're doing this is just because if I get, like, all we need is a clean volume boost. It's not doing that much limiting. It's doing a tiny, tiny minuscule amount. What happens here is if I get a utility into this, you can see, like, every now and then one synth will hit and it'll clip in one ear. So this limiter is just catching it for that. And alright, well, this is sounding pretty good. At this stage, let's go from start to finish and hear the full track. Awesome. Sounds pretty cool. So, that's gonna be it for this one, guys. Thank you very much. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said at the beginning, you can get the full project file and samples and MIDI and presets and everything that we just created in the description. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it's already available and has been since last night. Thank you so much, everyone, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.